Okay, this is a video to quickly show how we can do a query on the SQL database and bring the results back in a table. This is to help the Year 12 working on their IA and how do they get the query to come up in their divs that they're creating in Everweb. So the first thing I'm going to assume is that you have MAMP open and MAMP is running. I've already got mine here, it's already running. You can see here that I've got the two green lights and that means it's going. I'm going to open up the web page for MAMP. I'll show you, I've got one that I've previously done just to show you what our final product is going to be. This is basically it, right? Where we add a new cub to a cub pack, you enter the name, Mr. Capo, date of birth, and I've put in there so that you can see the format. It's got to be years first, so 2001 dash I don't know 09-09, address Milan, mail, school, SLS, telephone 555 55556, and I hit submit. And so it takes those details in, and now you can see down the bottom here that child ID, a cub ID is 19, Mr. Capo, there's the birth date, Milan, mail, SLS, and the phone number, but there's no 6 group. So the 6 group means which team he's in the scout group. So on this page we can add a 6 group. So we go student ID number 19, choose the 6 group, yellow, hit submit, and then that has updated over here. So that's all we want to do. Now the query section is this table. The table's the query from the database, and it's got all of this data already in there, but I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch. If you hit home, it should take us back to the first page. Now once you're in MAMP, you want to go to PHPMyAdmin, and we want to build a new database. So I'm just going to click new. All of you should know how to do this, but I'm going to do it again anyway. I'm going to call it Scout, SCOUT, all lowercase. Just go create. So there's my new database. You can see down here, it's already been created, Scout. Now I want to build a new table in there. So my new table, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to call it DETAIL, details, and I am going to give it 9 columns. 9 columns, and I hit go, and then it's going to ask me for my 9 columns. Now, as we always do, the first thing we're going to do is do a primary key. We're going to call it cub ID integer 11. We're going to go across and we click auto increment, and it automatically makes it a primary key, and we go OK. Next we're going to do name with a capital N. Okay, so that's pretty much set up the database. I'm going to hit save, and if we look at our details, there's our details. We've got it all set up, it's all ready to go. So you know how to do that, you know how to set up a database. The database is called Scout, the table is called details. It's a flat database so that all the information's in here. It hasn't gone through normalization, NF1, 2 or 3. It's just a flat database, just to show you how to do a query on this database. All right, now the second thing you need are some web pages. So in brackets, I've created 3 pages. I'm going to show you each of them. The first one up here is called cubs.html. It goes down and it does, basically it's a web page that comes up. The heading is Scout Details. Comes up to add a new Scout. It has some inputs here. We've created a form, have a few inputs, the name, the date of birth, the address, the gender, enter the school, enter the phone number. You have all made these forms before. You've seen how they work. So it's a basic form. Remember that the method has to be post. So it's going to post the information from this form into the insert cubs.php file. There has to be a submit button down the bottom. So type submit, value submit. And remember that when it posts, it needs to have a name that it's going to post to. So for example, this one, enter your name. It's going to be a text entry, and it's going to be called name. So when we go to the next file, which is our insert cub file, you'll see here, there's name. It's a post of name, and we're going to put it into the variable called $name. Okay, this PHP file, let's talk about that really quickly. First line hooks up to the server. your username for the server, your password for the server, and then the name of the database. Remember, we did Scout in lowercase, so make sure that it says Scout in lowercase, the name of our database. Then down here, and this is one of the key things, we're doing a query here for our database where we're inserting into details with a capital D, the name, date of birth, address, gender, and I've made sure they're all named exactly the same way in the PHP file as I named them in the database. The values are coming from our posts. So this is the name up there, that's coming from this post up here, the name. The date of birth, the address, the gender, the school, so on and so forth. They're all coming from the posts from the previous HTML page. Now this file also then goes down and it tries to insert all of that data in there. If the data works, then it's going to go to a file called cub2.php. If the file doesn't work, it's going to print out on the screen error, something happened with the database and it didn't work. Okay, so you're sort of error checking yourself here by having this error message. Now if it goes to cub2.php, that's here, this is the section that you guys need the help on. First thing we're doing, we are creating a table, right? So echo is essentially print on the screen, a table with a border which has got a black border around it. At the top, we're going to have all of these like headings, titles to our table, cub ID, name, date of birth, address, all that sort of stuff. Then we do this section here creates the lines inside the table, and every time we add a column to the table, it'll create a new set of lines and a new set of like columns and rows so that all the information adds in automatically. So you don't have to say this is how many rows, this is how many columns. This section here will do it automatically. You're telling it what it's going to look like, 150 pixels, border 1 pixel, solid black, and it'll keep. It's a recursive function here, so it's just going to keep going over and over again every time it gets more information back from the database. Again here we're connecting to localhost root and then our database, and this is the section that you need. This is the main reason that I'm doing this video, is to show you this section here. It creates a connection to the database using the server name, database name, username, password from up here. That's the first thing it does. Then it uses that connection. If the connection's wrong, it'll come up saying error. If the connection's correct, then it's going to do a query and it's going to select cub ID, name, date of birth, address, all of those things. It's going to select them from the table called details. Now, if you have 2 or 3 different tables, you can alter your query in here, just that line there. You can alter that query so that it selects from different tables, different information. You should know how to do that already, but this is where your new query would go. You can practice that in MAMP on the database, the SQL database, and do different queries to see if they work. Then copy your query and paste it in here and then it'll work. Right, then the results come back, and if the results are all great and everything works, it's going to put them into the table, creating the new lines and borders using the recursive function from the top. If it doesn't work, it's going to come back saying error, didn't work. Then I've added below here, I've added the extra little bit, which is where you can choose which pack the scouts are going to be in. So from that section you can choose which color they're going to be in, you submit it. It's another type of form with a post, and it goes to a file called update.php, which will then update the information on the database. Okay, and then there's a button here that takes us back to our original page, cubs.html. So we need to make sure that we've got that update.php in the same folder as well. In fact, I should open that just to test. File open. And I've got all my files in here and the update is there. So I'm just going to actually open that one. And then the update one needs to make sure that it has Scout as well. And it updates all the information, right? It updates which 6 they're in, it puts it into details. If it connects, it'll work. If it doesn't connect, then we're in trouble. If it connects, it goes back to cubs2.php, which is our second file there. So that's all going to work. That's all going to be fantastic. So now let's go and test it. Let's go and test what we've done. I do need to just change one file over in my htdocs. I need to make sure that I have that update file in my Scout folder. So that update file there. So you need to make sure that you've got all 4 of these files together in the same folder, all right, which I've just put them together. I'll put them on the classroom for you to have a look at. Now, let's go and have a look at it through MAMP. Let's go to my website. I'm going to navigate to where I've stored everything, which is in this Scout folder, and I've got my files in there. Let's try cubs.html. Okay, add a new Scout to our Scout pack. So we're going to call our new Scout Nick May, date of birth 2010 05-05, address is Milan, mail, school, SLS, telephone 393939393934. Submit that information. You can see the query has been done already up here. I'm the first student, Nick May. There's the date of birth, Milan, male, SLS. Here, if I want to choose a group for me, I choose ID1, which is our primary key. I choose blue and I hit submit, and it should update, and now I'm in blue here. So that's it. That's how it works. That's how you do a query. That's how you get it to come up onto the screen in a table. This is what you guys need to do, is work out how to get these tables into your files. I suggest you cut and paste from the 4 files that I'm pasting on the classroom, and play with it until you get it so that it does the query for all the information that you would like.